who were growing up at a time when pot was readily available and frequently used, reached the point where we were actually the senior decision makers, that you would then finally reach that tipping point and laws would begin to change. And when we see what's going on, for example, Larry Campbell, the mayor of Vancouver, who has come out very clearly to say that the law has to go further in legalization. You've got to take away, as long as you've got the sale and production of marijuana in the criminal code, then what you're going to have is the likelihood, the tendency for there to be real tension and inappropriate activity associated with it. The moment that you create a legalized environment, then everything becomes somewhat more regularized. I liken it very much to the old prohibition laws and what happened in those days, and it's time to get out from under it. My visits to Amsterdam and other cities where there's a more flexible attitude prove to me that this is absolutely the way to go.
Well, we're loving this here on Pot TV, but you know, one of the things we've detected too is a pervasive American influence in Canadian government policy currently. We often point to the fact that the police cars here have American flags on them, that the local Vancouver police often invite the U.S. Consul General to come down to their police department to comment on judicial matters regarding drug laws whenever they're liberalized. We saw that MPs McTeague and Chamberlain were down at the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa conspiring with the government there to actually thwart their own party and their own government. And now we have the committee being in the U.S. being invited to attend the Drugs Committee, looking at the new marijuana reform, so to speak. And we detect that Paul Martin is greatly influenced by the American.
Well, I think we're looking at a kind of continental drift right now, where and it's kind of deep integration of Canadian society with the U.S. economy and the U.S. government that is a real concern. Paul Martin's first reaction after we, and I'm very proud of this, as a nation said we're not going to war in Iraq, Paul Martin's reaction was, well, now we've offended the Americans, we better get into Star Wars with them. This I think was a completely unsatisfactory response. And our view is that Canadians have a different value system. We're actually kind of proud of it. We like the fact that we have a peace tower in our parliament buildings. We like the notion that the Canadian flag is what flies up there, not the stars and stripes. And we have a Medicare system. We have laws that are different. We're a little bit more tolerant. We have more diversity. We celebrate that diversity in different ways. And we've moved ahead on same-sex marriages, for example. So I think we want to keep Canada as an independent, sovereign nation. And adopting more modernized laws around marijuana than the U.S. would have, I think would help to underline that. And I do also want to say, there's a lot of folks in the States who are cheering us on.
Oh, that's
because
true.
There are millions of Americans who favor the direction that Canada is going. Can I just pick Michael Moore as an example? As someone who's bowling for Columbine and other films, have often pointed to Canada as a place where things are done a bit differently. The values are differently constructed. They have to do with community. They have to do with a more social perspective, a less absolute, abstract, robust individualism, where it's dog eat dog. And I think that kind of more mellow attitude, if I may say so, seems to fit rather nicely with the modernization of marijuana laws.
Did you see Michael Moore? He was in the city yesterday along with you.
I didn't get a chance to see him, but you know, I've used his films since way before anybody had ever heard of him in my university courses where I've been teaching at U of T in sociology and other subjects. And Roger and Me, if people haven't seen that was his original kind of a breakthrough film about General Motors and how they were closing down all the auto plants in Flint, Michigan. And he was trying to meet with Roger, who was the CEO of General Motors, and it's hysterical.
Yeah,
and
it is a funny movie.
Quite a commentary on American society.
And now he's produced by Canadians too, as he said at his Academy Award acceptance. He says, I don't have to answer to Hollywood, I'm financed by Canadians. So, and of course he makes all Canadians feel great when you see Bowling for Columbine. It's like a Valentine's Day card to Canadians. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to talk about, particularly the synergy in perhaps our audience getting involved with your campaign to become the Prime Minister, the leader of the New Democratic Party. You'll need to be elected in Don Mills in Toronto.
Toronto Danforth. This
Toronto
would be,
Danforth.
any of the viewers out there in the Riverdale area or East York, it would be great to have you join the party and prepare us to move forward with a victory there. NDP.ca is our website. It's easy to get to, and you can receive our newsletter there. You can sign up and join the party. You can support us financially because, of course, you don't have the big corporate sector financing that other parties have, and we certainly would welcome.
Money is the lubricant of liberty.
Yes, it can indeed be. And our ideas are there. You can meet our members of Parliament. You can get to know. We have a wonderful youth section of our party that's very strong on the issue of modernization of our marijuana laws, and they're very active. We have a youth organizer who works with them across the country on the campuses, in the youth groups, in the workplaces, etc. And you can be a part of it. Anyone watching this show can not only help to support us, but when you become a member of our party, you actually have an influence on the policies we adopt, because we are a democratic party. And in that sense, your voices would be not only welcome, but they'd be able to have some influence.
There's a federal election next April or May. It's expected. There'll be severe competition in this upcoming election. It's very pivotal for the cannabis community, and I'd urge you to write Mr. Layton and write the NDP and find out what Libby Davies has been doing. She's been doing a marvelous job on the committee investigating the marijuana reform bill, and she's been incredibly helpful to our community, and I wish you all the best of luck, Mr. Layton.
Appreciate it.
Hope we can hear lots about you and the marijuana issue in the months ahead.
Righto, you will.